All right, so at this time, I'm going to go ahead on and call the regular meeting via teleconference, and it's a hybrid type meeting because the chambers is open for the public hearing of the Mayor Board of Alderman, June 23rd, the year 2020. The time that is, at this time, it is 6:01 p.m. So the meeting is now called to order. I ask that we pause for a few moments of silent prayer. So let us pause for a moment of silent prayer, please. Thank you, and amen. So at this time, if Alderwoman Smith, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alderwoman Smith. At this time, we will have roll call performed by the City Clerk. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Alderman Mathis. Here. Alderman Frazier.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith.
Here.
Alderman Irvin. Alderman Davis.
Here.
Alderman Dillard.
Here.
And Mr. Latham.
I'm here.
All present counted for except Alderwoman Irvin, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. The first set of minutes of the regular board meeting held Tuesday, May 12th, the year 2020. What's the pleasure of those minutes that have been presented to the board?
I move the mayor with editorial changes.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion. Motion by Alderwoman Mathis, second by Alderman Davis. Any unreadiness on the motion? Hearing none. Alderwoman Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alderman Frazier, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alderman Davis, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Alderman Dillard, how do you vote?
Aye.
It is unanimous, Madam Clerk.
Mr.
Next
Mayor.
item.
Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
The problem on two of these is, did we come out of executive session? Because I don't remember us having any meetings that we haven't gone into executive session. I don't know that, but I don't remember us. I see a determination, but I don't see where we came out. Even if we didn't take care of any business, look like you would have to come out. But anyway, or make a determination for close. So that's going to be on anything. All of these pretty much is going to have the same thing. I'm going to go on and move the Tuesday, May 19th meeting without any changes. That one looks good.
Alderman Mathis.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Frazier. City Attorney.
I was just going to say, I had a discussion with Sevilla this afternoon. We made some changes, which included adding the executive sessions information into those minutes. And if you want to go with each set of minutes, you can, what changes that you're going to suggest, then Sevilla can also mention the ones that we did. We could just go minute by minute if you want to do it that way.
That's fine, Mr. Mayor, because that's basically what I found. I don't want to keep finding things and prolonging the meeting, but we got to be careful about how they go. So can they tell us what they changed in the first set, Mr. Mayor?
The first set that was just approved.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Like Bob said, we did go in and add the executive session to all the 3 sets of mayors. One for the May 12th, May 26th, and June 8th. I already had that on there. We changed that with some language and some of our items that we changed from, I think it was from approved to present or something. So some word change that the attorney made. We did go into all of the executive session on all of them. It didn't have it.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, that's why.
Go ahead, Bob.
Let me just go ahead and state on the, I think it's on item number 175 on the May 12th minute, where it mentioned it's the Mississippi Department of Transportation, Public Transit Funds. There was a statement that a motion was made by Alderman Methodist, seconded by Alderman Davis to amend the main motion of applying for the Mississippi Department of Transportation, the 5311 Rural Care Funds for the Natchez Transit System to include addendums prepared by the city attorney. And the word prepared should have been approved, because the Mississippi Department of Transportation prepares those. We review them to make sure that they can be signed as they send them. So I just approve them for whether or not they can be added to the agreement. And then also the next motion had prepared, and it should say approved. And then let's see. In item 178, Rico Gianni on planning and zoning, there was a motion made by Alderman Methodist, seconded by Alderman Irving to revise the current regulations for a sidewalk within the city code of ordinance, and it should say sidewalk cafe. She's going to add cafe to clear up that. So those are the changes we made to that set.
And so my question is, it said that we went into, to make sure I'm right, hold on. I'm trying to go as we go, but it's just going to take time. It says that we went in, we made a determination. A motion was made by Alderman Davis and seconded by Alderwoman Irving for closed determination. Then it said we made a motion to adjourn. So we never did come out of the closed determination.
I'm sorry.
Right.
She did. She's going to add that a determination was made that we went into for discussion pertaining to litigation, personnel, and potential lease or sale of property.
And then that we came out of it, right? Don't you have to come out?
We came out of it with no action taken.
Okay. Well, Mr. Mayor, we've already passed it. I guess with those editorial changes, but we really need to see them before we pass them. I guess. I don't know, Mr. Mayor. What do you think? Because this is
Okay. Well, why don't we do this on the special call meeting for Tuesday, May 12th, regular board meeting Tuesday, May 26th, and regular board meeting Tuesday, June 9th. Why don't we just defer those approvals until the next meeting? That way the board can actually see those changes, because every time we've made a closed determination, one of the things that I made sure that we did after the determination was made, that we proceeded into executive session to deal with those discussions as they relate to how they qualified for an executive session. And another thing that I've always done is that I've always requested for a motion and a second to return to open session. That is
exactly
to end the executive session. And I know I've done that each and every time.
You have, Mayor.
Should be in the minutes.
You have, Mayor. You have, Mayor, and that's what made the questions come up. So you've done it each time, and we've made it be only to those things that would qualify for executive session.
Yes, ma'am. So why don't we hold off? Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion by Alderwoman Mathis, second by Alderwoman Smith, that we defer the approval of minutes so that the board can actually read those editorial changes of the special call meeting of Tuesday, May 19th of this year, regular board meeting Tuesday, May 26th of this year, regular board meeting Tuesday, June 9th of this year. Unreadiness on the motion to defer. Hearing none, and that is to defer to the next meeting. Am I correct, Ms. Mathis?
Yes, sir.
And Mr.
Okay.
Mayor,
Is there any unreadiness? Yes, Mr. Latham?
I was just going to say, and I don't know whether anybody else has any editorial changes, because I just got the minutes today and reviewed them and talked to Sevilla about making the changes I saw. So before the next meeting, I think if anybody sees any editorial changes, they need to get them to Sevilla before she resubmits them to the board member.
Very good point, Bob. And that members be prepared to review those minutes so that if there are any additional editorial changes, they can be made prior to the final form being disseminated to the board of the next board meeting. Is there any other unreadiness? Hearing none. Ms. Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
And Mr. Dillard?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, it's unanimous. It's been deferred until the next meeting. So
Mr.
make
Mayor.
sure yes, ma'am.
May
Ms.
we
Mathis?
also get even though we passed the first one, which is Tuesday, May 19th, may we get a copy of the changes that the attorney made in those when we get the other ones out, please?
Yes, ma'am. It is so ordered. Madam Clerk, you're ordered to get a set of those minutes to each board member so that they can note those changes that have been made. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk.
Yes, I'm here on, it was on mute. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda, we have a public hearing as it relates to nuisance properties, and the city chambers is open. We have our staff that are there. Mr. Peralt, who is our network administrator, along with others that are assisting during that public hearing. So at this time, we have our code enforcement officer.
Lost the voice.
Okay, I can hear you guys in the boardroom. Mayor, did you lose connection?
So at this time, we'll turn it over to Ms. Smith. I got kicked off for some reason.
There you go.
Go ahead, Ms. Smith.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. My name is Anita Smith. I do community improvement. Today is June 23rd, 2020, public hearing for nuisance lots. Edmund? Your gadget? No. The first notice was sent February 27, 2020, with pictures taken. The legal notice was published June the 7th, 2020. Board meeting 23 June 2020. Resolution for the mayor and board of aldermen of Natchez, Mississippi, adjudicating nuisance properties in Jackson and Natchez, Mississippi. First lot, Inez Street, 580, grass and weeds and trash and litter. Claiborne Street, 28, grass and weeds. Inez Street, 585, grass and weeds. Creek Street, 204, trash and litter, grass and weeds, and property maintenance. Circle Drive South, number 11, grass and weeds and property maintenance. Oak Street East, 33, is burned probably 4 years ago. St. Catherine Street, or 92, dangerous structure. Burrell Avenue, 17 and a half, grass and weeds. Zoe Street, 15, grass and weeds and property maintenance. Margaret Avenue, 318, grass and weeds. Reed Street, number 10, grass and weeds and property maintenance. MLK, 1166, grass and weeds, property maintenance. MLK, 1133, grass and weeds. MLK, 1160, grass and weeds, property maintenance. MLK, 1139, grass and weeds. MLK, 834, grass and weeds. That ends the nuisance properties.
Okay, so at this time, I will entertain a motion that we open a public hearing for the purpose of the discussion of the properties that have been stated by the code enforcement officer.
So moved.
Motion offered by Ms. Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Frazier. Any unreadiness on the motion? Hearing none. Alderman Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alderman Frazier? Alderwoman Smith?
Aye.
Alderman Davis? Alderman Davis, how do you vote? And Alderman Dillard, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, we have a majority, 4 votes. There was not any participation that we heard from Alderman Davis. So the hearing is now opened by a majority of votes. So if there's anyone there or anyone on the call that would like to speak as relate to one of the properties that have been listed or several of the properties that have been listed by the code enforcement officer, we ask that you please state your name and address for the purpose of the minutes. Are there any public comments at this time? Are there any public comments at this time? Are there any public comments at this time? Ms. Smith, are there any spectators there in the city chambers
No,
to
sir.
speak? Okay. And is there anyone on this call that would like to speak? If not, hearing none, I will entertain a motion that we close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Dillard, second by Alderwoman Smith. Unreadiness? Hearing none. Alderman Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alderman Frazier?
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith?
Aye.
Alderman Davis? Alderman Davis?
Aye.
Alderman, is that Alderman Davis? Alderman Dillard, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, I'm not sure if I heard Alderman Davis or not. Did I hear
Mayor,
Alderman Davis? Yes,
Mr. Mayor.
yes, Mr.
Mr.
Frazier.
Mayor, I have a question for Ms. Smith.
Okay, I'm getting the votes right now. Mr. Frazier, just give me 1 second.
Okay. Okay.
One second. So the hearing is now closed by a majority of the votes. I did not hear a vote from Alderman Davis. Now, at this time, I will entertain your question, Mr. Frazier.
I'd like ask Ms. Smith a question.
Go
Ms.
ahead.
Smith,
Yes, sir.
how many of these properties are owned by a loan company? Do you know?
To my knowledge, only one, and that would be 204 Creek Street.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay, what is your recommendation, Ms. Smith?
But Mr. Mayor, I before we get to that, I have a question also, if I may.
Go ahead, Ms. Mathis.
Okay, Ms. Smith,
Yes,
when I sent you Buckner's, you said that property was gonna be on, that's the property where the tree was down, and this has been a problem for several months, and you said it would be on this adjudication?
I did not get the certified mail back, and I can only put it in the public notice once I receive the certified return mail.
Okay, I'll go back to it. And the other question is the 17.5 Brio where the kudzu is.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't see anything. Okay, I'm asking that we remove 17.5 Brio from this list. And I'll explain to y'all why if I have to.
Okay.
Mayor, so
Okay.
do I need to
All
make
right.
that as a motion, Mr. Mayor?
Well, let's get Ms. Smith's recommendation, and then what I will do in the motion, we will exclude, if it's the prerogative of the board, 17.5 Brio. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Smith, what is your recommendation?
It is, the recommendation of the staff is to adjudicate these properties as nuisance properties or in violation of the code of 1972 for the state of Mississippi.
Okay, Ms. Mathis, would you like to offer that motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I offer that motion. And
And you
in the motion,
excluding,
I'm actually excluding 17.5 Brio.
okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Frazier, that we declare all properties listed in the staff memorandum as properties harboring nuisance conditions, Mississippi Code of 1972, and to adopt the resolutions recommended by the staff. And that excludes 17.5 Brio. Unreadiness on the motion. The only unreadiness, Ms. Mathis, would be, what is the rationale of excluding 17.5 Brio?
There was some discussion about this months back, even when Regions Bank took over that area, and that property owner had been asking for some assistance with the kudzu, and the kudzu comes all the way from Canal Street on the side of Regions Bank, all the way down that line. And he has been, if you go back in the minutes, he's been to this board on several occasions asking for that kudzu. It crosses the railroad down there, and it's part of it. I don't know whether it's on railroad property or the city's easement, but we've never done anything about that kudzu. And then it has been so bad because it comes from Broadway all the way down that line that it encroaches on his line. It was pulling over people's fences on that area. And we've asked for he had asked as a constituent for some help because of the way that kudzu comes into his property. And I think we had some discussion on this when Regions decided to put that bank down there as to whether they would help us kind of keep up with that kudzu down there.
Okay.
So part of it
Smith, you had unreadiness?
Actually, you brought it up. Is that has it been addressed with Regions? Is that Ward 1, or has anything been followed up
Ward
on?
1. It's Ward 1, and I brought it up when we were getting ready. When we did all that work, Ms. Smith, you and I went down there and talked to those neighbors to try to get everything straight with the abutment and everything down there, and that was brought up then. It was also brought up during the previous administration that we were going to try to get him some help down there. He's an elderly gentleman, and that kudzu, it had gone all the way down the line. I'm surprised it's not another person's property on here because it had pushed the fence over. And I think the city has some, I don't know what it has, right away down through there, but that kudzu is the problem.
Mr. Mayor well, never mind. I just think, yeah, if we can get with Justin or something and find out if anything's been done, because it's a long time, and see what we can do. But I'm fine. Let's go ahead, please.
Okay, is there any other unreadiness on the motion? Hearing none. Alderman Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alderman Frazier?
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith?
Aye.
Alderman Davis?
Aye.
And Alderman Dillard?
Aye.
It's unanimous, Madam Clerk. Ms. Smith, we thank you for your presentation. Do you have anything else?
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
Like your hat. Okay, next we would like to welcome all of our visitors who are on the call with us. Next, we have unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business before this board?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, one more. According to the minutes, I see where
Yes,
did
Ms.
say,
Mathis.
thank you, that we would the minutes that we passed of Tuesday, May 26th, item number 195:0520 said that a letter would be sent, an official letter would be sent to the Natchez Railroad to abate nuisance properties. I'm still trying to get a copy of that letter. That's the unfinished business. I don't have a copy of that letter yet.
Yes, ma'am. The city attorney and myself, we've been working on that. Attorney Latham, would you like to give an up on that, please?
Sure. So I went by and looked at that particular location, and I talked to Jody. Since it's a nuisance property, I felt like it was the position of Anita Smith. That's what she does, to send letters out and put them on notice if they don't rectify a situation that obviously they'll be brought for the board. So Jody went down there, I think, with Anita, and then I think he talked to James Johnston. So someone had been in contact with the railroad company, and they got some, I think, old tires stacked up along the railroad right of way on the opposite side of the tracks from the subdivision. But this particular machine that comes down the tracks that they load those on to take them for disposal was broken, and they're supposed to be bringing that. I don't know whether we had a timeline on that, but they're going to take care of it, from my understanding.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if I may, it's my understanding they told us that they were going to take care of it last fall, and this is June, and those children are out there and those snakes are out there. So I don't, I'm getting ready to vote nay, I guess, on anything dealing with the Natchez Railroad. I know it'll just be one vote, but I don't understand why they, with the money that we are spending, they can't move that stuff or find a way to get that stuff moved and sprayed and those snakes cleared up. Mr. Attorney. And
yes, ma'am.
I'm glad that it's on. We've now issued a nuisance thing, but I think we need to send something to them a little stronger from this board that we want that cleaned up with the amount of money that we have. I know what we're doing. We are handling it. It's not our money. We are handling it for them, or whatever the right correct word is. I'll get to it by the time we get ready to vote on it. But I just feel like they need to treat us a little bit better because we're doing it better. We're facilitating that's the word I was looking for. We're facilitating what they are doing with the railway service. But now we can't allow snakes and stuff to be running around and bite with these children down there.
Okay, Bob, so you and I will get together tomorrow on this and see what we can construct in terms of a document to send to Natchez Rail concerning this issue, to see if we can get a reply on a timeline of abating that nuisance down there. Are you okay with that?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, I mean, it's fine with me, but I
Okay.
don't, I mean, we got a process that we can find them, and we can do it ourselves if they don't do it, and make them pay for it by assessing, fines against them. And if we can write,
Okay.
we can write a strong letter right now, and if they don't do it, just because I write them a letter telling them to do it, it doesn't accomplish anything, because there's not a statute that says if I write them a letter and they don't do it, then we can do it. The city can do it and then make them pay for it. I just think we ought to send them a letter through Anita Smith's office and bring them to a hearing before the board.
Okay, well, as long as,
Okay.
Mr.
Well,
Mayor,
we'll
if I
use
may,
that method.
that'll be fine, because,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
you had spoken, thank you. You had spoken with them when I brought this up. You said you had spoken with them back last fall. And when I took it to James Johnson, he said that they had been contacted last fall. Well, that was 2019. Then this is June of 2020. So that's 6 months. And it just seems with the amount of money that's going into these projects, surely they could find a way to get that material, short of bed still in the bar in it. But I mean, they could find a way to get that stuff off those tracks and those tracks sprayed down.
Right. So we will use the code enforcement method, and we'll have Ms. Smith to make sure that she gets a copy of that letter to you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Is there any other unfinished business? If not, county business. Any county business? Hearing none, moving on to department directors' reports. Mr. Johnston, Community Development.
Evening, Mayor and Board. Earlier today, I believe Jerry brought you an updated copy of my report, and I will go over item number 1, citywide water improvement project. At the Tuesday, June 16, 2020 meeting of the Natchez Water Works Board of Commissioners, the following work activities were approved by change order number 2. New water line for chlorine feed at Cedar Lane, $4,000. Asphalt repair at various locations that require pavement cutting, $3,700. Add remote fuel system for Cedar Lane, $12,200. Per recommendation, deduct service entrance breaker at Brenham for a credit of $1,300 since the control panel main breaker is service entrance rated. Current contract amount, $1,703,368. Total change order number 2, $18,600. Revised contract amount, $1,721,968. The Natchez Water Works State Revolving Loan Fund is paying for the listed activities. Staff is requesting a motion that the Mayor and Board also approve the above listed work items by change order number 2.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Alderwoman Smith, second by Alderman Davis. Unreadiness on the motion. Hearing none. Alderwoman Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alderman Frazier?
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith?
Aye.
Alderman Miss?
Aye.
And Alderman Dillard?
Aye.
It's unanimous, Madam Clerk. James, proceed.
Next item, North Natchez Drainage, WGK Inc. and staff is recommending as part of change order number 3 to extend the length of the time for this drainage project by 49 working days due to the time loss attributed to the work stoppage brought by the COVID-19 virus. Contract extension will be to April 16, 2021. In addition, during construction, our contractor encountered concrete directly below the asphalt and above force mains along Marblestone. They also expect this occurrence along Brookview Lane. In the past, the City of Natchez allowed concrete to be installed above force mains, making repairs. The estimated cost for concrete removal of the existing force mains along Marblestone and Brookview Lane is 405 square yards at $29 per square yard for a total cost of $12,012.44. WGK and staff is requesting a motion to approve change order number 3 to both extend the contract period by 49 working days and for the removal of concrete over existing force mains, thereby increasing the contract with WE Blaine from $2,821,554.90 to $2,833,567.34.
You've heard the request. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Mathis?
I move change order number 3 to both extend the contract period by 49 working days and for the removal of concrete over the existing force mains.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Frazier. Readiness on a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Dillard?
this eventual change order, it's pretty small in the scope of it all. My only question is to Mr. Johnston, is this a percentage of this as per our matching requirements, or in other words, would we increase the city's cost by a percentage of this, or is this the cost all being borne by the city?
This entire cost is being borne by Natchez Waterworks.
On North Natchez drainage?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, sir. This is, it'll be a percentage basis. My bad. I got my project confused in my mind.
Just remind me.
Yeah, this is budgeted, and this is coming for our contingencies.
What's the percentage on that project? I mean, it's like 90-10?
Actually, no, sir. 75-25.
75-25. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, is there any further unreadiness? So basically, James, we are looking at percent of $12,012.44, correct?
12,000, yes, sir. But now in totality, we did budget a contingency, and so this is coming from what is already budgeted. These are no new monies being requested.
But Mr. Mayor, that contingency is built into the project. That's not the contingency that the city is bearing. Is that correct?
We did when we discussed this, late last year. We did budget contingencies for these unexpected occurrences. So this is part of our total budget.
I got you. You're not increasing the budget. It's coming out of contingency.
No, sir, we are not. This is all that was budgeted between the Corps of Engineers monies and the money that we had budgeted carried over from FY19 and also budgeted and approved at a previous board meeting.
So with the cost being borne,
nothing new.
So if the cost being borne by the city would be 25% of $12,012.44?
Approximately, yes, sir. But also at a previous board meeting, some of our reimbursements depend on the amount of hired labor that they charge, but they have not been charging hired labor recently. When they do not, it's a true 75-25.
I think you answered my question, though. Our cost is going to be somewhere around $3,004.11, I guess.
Roughly 25%, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Dillard, is there any further unreadiness? Hearing none. Alderman Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alderman Frazier?
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith?
Aye.
Alderman Davis?
Aye.
And Alderman Dillard?
Aye.
It's unanimous, Madam Clerk. James, let's proceed. And let me just remind everyone to please put your phones on mute until it's time to speak. That helps to cut back on the background noise. All right.
Natchez Aquatic Center pool upgrade. The City of Natchez is in receipt of project modification agreement from the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, approving additional pool upgrades, automatic chlorinator, concrete pool deck, expansion, permanent bleachers, lockers, and cubbies. Natchez is requesting a motion approving the amendment, which increases the total project agreement to $345,168 from $268,940.
You've heard the requests. What's the pleasure?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Moved by Ms. Mathis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Frazier. Unreadiness on the motion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Dillard?
How would this increase affect the city's match?
As previously discussed, the match will increase as well. This is a 50-50. Of our 50, the county's putting up 25%. Our match would be rounded $84,000.
So
It's already been brought before the board. Yes, sir.
So the city had previously accepted a match that would cost the city of roughly $70,000, and half of that would be coming from the county. Is that correct?
No, sir. Not half of 70. No, sir.
So
Total project budget's 345, which meant the state's putting up roughly half of that of 172 rounded, locals 172 rounded, which meant that of the 172, the city's putting up half and the county's putting up half.
So the city would be now putting up 84,000 and the county would be putting up 84,000.
Rounded, yes, sir.
Rounded, yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I think later in my report, I want to discuss some of the city's financials. I don't see that the city, and I'm not sure that the county will also have the same problems, is that due to the impact of the virus, our sales numbers and our game numbers are down significantly. I do not see the funds available to continue forward with this project. And I'm going to vote against it. I don't see how the city is going to be able to afford $84,000 improvements and at the same time meet its financial obligations and at the same time maintain the payrolls that we have currently underway.
Mr. Mayor.
Is there further? Yes, Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely concur. There's no way. I don't even know how anybody in there could honestly vote for this, because we know for 1 month, just in our sales tax diversion revenue is down approximately 80,000, a little bit over that for just the month of April. So we know May's going to not be a whole lot better. It'll be a little better, but we know y'all just got the sheets on the gaming revenue. That is very significantly down. I know hope everybody's looked at that. So we'd all love to do a lot of things for recreation, but these are, we don't know what we'll have to do even with employees or anything else. So how could we vote for stands and lockers when we don't even understand fully the extent of the losses we're going to experience? And we need to have another special finance meeting with our group on Tuesday to go through the gaming revenue losses in addition to these, to see where we're going to cover these. But this actually would cover for just 1 month on April. To not approve this, which we don't even know, I have a feeling the county is in the same financial shape we are, but to not approve these will at least cover the 1 month. We can put this off for another year. If we can catch up, it might be 2 years. I'm not sure, and we can apply for these grants again. But I'm with Mr. Dillard on this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is there further unreadiness, Ms. Mathis?
Mr. Mayor, yes, a couple of questions to James. James, how far have we gotten into this grant at all, or have we gotten into it at all?
Later in my report, we did receive quote bids for part of the original scope of work, that being the heater and pool cover, and we are advertising for right now the larger package, which includes the showers and lockers, and these items listed as, I believe,
I'm trying to listen. Did I lose you, James? I lose y'all?
I can't hear him either.
I'm here, James. We must have lost James. Dustin, did we lose James?
I think so. Give him just a second. He might have to call right back in.
Let's give him a second, board. Just hold on. We've got a motion on the floor, so just hold on.
I
Okay,
think I got
James,
knocked
are you
off. Y'all
back?
were trying to. Yeah, I got knocked off.
Okay, proceed.
But, hello.
James, yes.
Yes,
My,
ma'am.
Go
my,
proceed.
my question, okay. My
Ms.
Hello?
Smith,
question was,
go ahead with your question to James.
yeah, had we spent, okay, I know we've spent money for Mr. Waycast because it's on the docket. How much of the architectural services have we paid out on this? Was that included in the grant, or we just already paid that out?
It is part of the grant, again, on a pro rata basis. I don't believe I have a project spreadsheet with me, but I want to say it's under $20,000 to date. Again, I don't have that spreadsheet on my person.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Ms.
Mayor,
Mathis.
I move to defer this motion of this work until the next meeting when we have a full board present. I move to defer. I'm amending my motion to defer this until the next board meeting, which will be the first meeting in July.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second that we defer this request until the next board meeting, which will be the second Tuesday of next month. Any unreadiness on the motion to defer? Hearing none, Ms. Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
And Mr. Dillard?
Aye.
Okay, it passed by a majority of 4-1, with one voting no, and that's Ms. Smith. All right, James, proceed.
Okay. Then I will not bring up the request to amend White Castle's contract at this time. I'll bring that up at the next board meeting and proceed. In addition, the Mayor and Board of Alderman recently gave permission for staff to seek quote bids for the pool heater and solar cover panel. The quote bids received yesterday, June 22nd at 10 a.m. are summarized. We received one quote bid for the pool heater. That bid came from Natchez Heating and Cooling, $38,924. Due to the lone quote bid exceeding the budgeted funds available, Wake Counselor Associates and staff is requesting a motion that the bid from Natchez Heating and Cooling be rejected and staff be allowed to again receive quote bids.
So move.
Moved by Ms. Mathis. Is there a second?
Second.
Was that you, Mr. Frazier?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Second by Mr. Frazier. Unreadiness on the motion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Here. Yes, Mr. Dillard.
I would ask for some clarification. The bid results that I'm looking at on Mr. Johnston speaks about a cover. I don't see any reference to a pool heater.
Look a little above that, Mr. Dillard.
It says cover.
One says pool heater, one says panel cover.
I'm looking at it again. It says quote bids for pool heater 6 to it, and then when it goes out across the line, there's only a list for a cover. Is that the cover and the heater?
No, sir, they're listed separately. I don't think you got an incorrect version, but the cover I'll be discussing in just a moment.
There's a
Yeah.
double line that goes through the what looks like a header, and at the left of it, it says bidder, and it says order time, estimate of install, freight, and it says cover. and then it says total cost $38,924.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's incorrect right there. If you look at the top left corner, it does state, pool, bid for pool heater and bid for solar panel cover. That's a typo right there. I did do a cut and a paste. Did not catch that. So look at the left-hand side and see what they're for.
Mr. Mayor, I think I'm gonna move to amend that there be no need to solicit additional quotes until we've decided whether we're gonna move forward with this project. If I can get
Mr.
Okay,
Mayor.
that's a motion.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes. Yes.
The situation is we need to reject the quote that we got. If we don't do anything else, we do need to reject the quote that we got.
Well, then let's divide the question. James has rolled it into two to reject and solicit again. I will agree to divide the question and move to divide the question. If I can get a motion on that.
May I get some clarification on what we're doing? I'm sorry, I'm confused.
He's asking for two
All right,
things.
the motion that is currently on the floor is to reject the quote bid that was submitted by Natchez Heating and Cooling for the pool heater. That's the motion on the floor currently, is to reject the quote bid. And that's what we are. Did that clarify it for you, Ms. Smith?
Okay, so we need a second on that?
No, it's already been seconded. It's established. We were having unreadiness on the motion.
Okay, I thought Mr. Dillard threw in something else on the motion, so I was trying to understand
Right.
what that was.
I will accept the mayor's version of it and ignore what I'm reading at the bottom of the page.
Right.
That
is the correct motion that was offered. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay.
To reject the bid. Right.
No, I'm going to read it again. Waycaster and Associates and staff is requesting a motion to reject the quote bid from Burleson Pool Company and allow again to solicit quote bids. I'm dividing the question. I'm not interested in soliciting additional bids until we decide whether or not we can afford to do this. I agree to reject this bid.
I'll accept that as a friendly amendment. And James, when you do the next one, just leave the other part off. And we need to reject the bid. Okay? Mr. Mayor, I'm accepting Mr. Dillard's suggestion as a friendly amendment, and we're only dealing with rejecting the bid.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Is there further unreadiness? Alderman Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alderman Frazier?
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith?
Aye.
Alderman Davis? Aye. And Alderman Dillard?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Madam Clerk, James?
To continue, in addition, we received quote bids for the solar panel cover. The loan bid was from Burleson Pool Company, $78,649. Waycaster and staff is requesting motion to reject the quote bid from Burleson Pool Company.
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All right. Moved by Alderman Mathis, second by Alderman Frazier. Unreadiness. Hearing none. Alderman Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alderman Frazier?
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith?
Aye.
Alderman Davis? Aye. And Alderman Dillard?
Aye.
It's unanimous, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Latham.
when Alderman Dillard was trying to discuss the confusion about the bids, he read, I think, the portion of the that states Waycaster and staff requesting a motion to reject the quote bid from Burleson Pool Company. And that was dealing with that first, the pool heater. And I want to make sure that first motion dealt with the pool heater. And it dealt with Natchez Heating's bid and not Burleson. I just want to make sure the minutes reflect that because it may be confusing. From listening to the dialogue, at least it was to me. So I just want to make that.
Well, and that's a good point. That's a good point, Mr. Attorney. I did emphasize that when I restated the motion, and Ms. Mathis was friendly to that modification. Madam Clerk, do you have that recorded correctly?
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk? Okay. All right. Okay, Bob, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dillard?
one, much appreciations to the attorney because they're kind of rolling into each other here, and that's the difficulty in it. But I would like to ask Mr. Johnston about the chlorinator. Is the chlorinator involved in any of this business?
The chlorinator was part of the larger bid package that is being advertised right now. Not part of either of these.
Is it possible to break the coordinator out from the?
Yeah, I believe they're listed as either add or deduct alternate, so they are broken out.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Johnston?
That concludes my report.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, hold up, Ms. Mathis. Mr. Johnston, based on the memorandum that I received from you via email, you had a section that said workforce opportunity for rural communities. Did you want to deal with that or no?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, Ms. Mathis.
That was my question. I thought that was going to be the next motion, and I thought he had just overlooked it. But thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Continue on with Department Director's reports. Ms. Faye Minor.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Mathis.
I don't know if Ms. Minor is on. I was going to do this in my report, but I did go out today. May I go on with that part if she's not on? Or do you want me to do it in my report?
Since it's an item on the agenda as it relates to the tree removal at the swimming pool, we can go ahead on and handle it now.
Okay, but since I moved to defer it, I did go out and look at all of us went out. Mr. Gray was there as president of the board. Mr. Ware was there as a chair of recreation. Ms. Minor was there and I was there, and we looked at the tree, and Mr. Waycaster was there. We looked at the trees, and it was determined that we would only remove the tree that's directly in front of the pool, not the one that's on the right hand. If you're facing the sign that says Natchez Adams County NASD Aquatic Facility, it's a large oak tree there, and that's the one that's giving them the most trouble. So Mr. Waycaster agreed that one could be removed, and so they're going to remove them. And there's also something about the roots of going underground that's doing something. So that's the one that they want to remove now. The one to the right, we all agreed we would hold so that there would be shade there. And that was where at some point in time, playground equipment would be placed. So they agreed to leave the one to the right. So now I'm ready to move the approval for Public Works to cut one live oak tree at the swimming pool, which is the one directly in front of the sign.
I'm
okay,
on, Miss
Alderwoman. Is that your motion, Ms. Mathis?
Yes, it is.
Is there a second?
Second on, Mr. Mayor.
second by Mr. Frazier. Unreadiness on the motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mayor, I'll yield to Ms.
Yes,
Minor.
Yes, Mr. Dillard.
just one comment. I would clearly mark it with taping or something because it strangely enough, strange things happen. Your left is my right, and my right's your left. So I would clearly mark it.
It's not hard to get it confused. It's right directly in front of the pool.
All right. Is there further unreadiness on the motion? Further unreadiness. Hearing none. Ms. Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Okay, you're all right.
Okay. Mr. Davis?
Aye.
And Mr. Dillard?
Aye.
Okay. Ms. Mathis, and it passed unanimously. The question, will this be a joint removal city-county, or is this strictly city, or what?
The way I understood it at first, when they were asking for the 2 trees to be removed, the county was going to remove one and the city was going to remove one. I don't know how we can divide the tree up in half, but if there's a way to divide that tree in half and the county remove half and the city remove the other half, I have no problem with it. Right now, I just think just not to go out there and remove the tree, keep the leaves out of the pool and go and move forward.
Okay. I just
Mayor, could I
was trying to
comment on
find
this?
out if,
Yes,
who
sir,
is
Mayor.
this?
I've got it. This is Justin.
Who? Okay,
Justin
Justin.
Dollar. Yes, sir. You
Go
mind if I
ahead,
comment
Justin.
on that? All right. Kind of.
Yes, sir. I need.
Yes, sir. Okay. And Alderman Mathis is correct. Originally, when we spoke, the county was going to remove one and we were going to remove one. Being that we're only going to remove one tree now, kind of what we briefly spoke about with the county is that the county does not have a bucket truck and we do. So we would actually cut the tree down and get it on the ground, and they would come in with their limb truck and haul off and remove the debris. And that would kind of be a joint effort between them.
Thank you.
That's what I was hoping, was that, one agency cut it down, the other one take and remove it. Okay.
That's
Sounds
correct.
like a good partnership. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So that takes care of that item. Any other department directors?
Yes, sir, Mayor. I've got one thing.
Okay. Is that Mr. Dollar?
Yes, sir, it is. Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
All right. I'm seeking permission to allow the city clerk to sign a release with American Queen. On February the 20th, earlier this year, the American Queen, the boat was docked on Silver Street, and it broke loose. And when it did, their ramp was out, and as it started floating, it took out 2 of our light poles. So when that happened, American Queen did notify us of what took place, and I put together a list of materials, what it was going to take to make the repairs, and then our time to do it, just as we would do a highway street light repair, anything of that nature. Sent that bill to them, and that bill was in the amount of $4,323.28. I believe the city clerk's office has received that check, and so what I'm seeking is permission for the city clerk to sign a release with that company, releasing them from anything further, being that they have paid the city for that claim.
Okay. You've heard the request. What's the pleasure?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All right. Moved by Ms. Mathis, second by Mr. Davis. I'm reading this on the motion. Hearing none. Ms. Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
And Mr. Dillard?
Aye.
Mr. Dollar, do you have anything else?
No, sir, that's all. Thank you.
And Madam Clerk, that motion passed unanimously. Okay, thank you, Mr. Dollar. Any other department directors? Hearing none, I shall proceed with the city officials report, starting with you, Ms. Mathis.
I think I've already given my report, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Frazier.
No report, Mr. Mayor, but we have discussion about the hiring fire report later on.
Okay. Ms. Smith.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Davis.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, while I've got my alderman here, I would like to schedule a meeting for this coming Tuesday with the subcommittee concerning the city's financials to prepare recommendations and identify either cost savings or expenditures that we can furlough in the upcoming weeks. Just to reiterate, I want to thank the city clerk for the information that she's proceeded, Mr. Mayor, but to kind of get a grapple around it is that right now the city is going to be looking for almost $2 million in sales tax, and we've got 4 months to bring that money in, and it's just, it doesn't look like that's a possibility. So, and then currently, if we took but even before the pandemic became apparent, we were down some monies. We're down right now today $204,000 is in our sales tax. So even if all those monies came in as projected, we would still be down $204,000. You also have to look at, and again, thanks to the city clerk for providing this information on our gaming taxes, and our gaming taxes was down. And right now, we had projected $1 million in gaming taxes, and I believe to the current information that she has, my quick math on that was we're down $250,000. So we only have 3 months to make up half of what we had projected in the gaming taxes. So these are getting into some real tight quarters here. The monies are going to be not going to materialize, and we're going to have to revise our budget, which according to the schedule as prescribed by the Mississippi handbook for public, for clerks, we'll have to be doing that in July. So anyhow, having said all that, Mr. Mayor, I just want everyone to keep in mind that there are only so many places that we can cut. And there is capital improvements and projects and vehicles and stuff like that. But it's going to get close to, doing everything we can to save everybody's job. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dillard. And we'll set that for Tuesday, the subcommittee meeting.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Mathis.
May I have a hard copy of the report from Mr. Wallace Collins and from the auditor? I know I've gotten an email, but I've not gotten a hard copy of that. Could it be printed out and it be sent out by Tuesday?
Yes, ma'am. We'll take care of that for you.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, Ms. Mathis. I would also ask that the city clerk provide. I would like to meet in the conference room in City Hall so that we could make the city clerk available to us for resources. But if she would prepare the most current budget status report for the subcommittee, so that we can have that information in front of us. We need to be as current and as accurate as we can be to make the most. And then also that the clerk, we could start at 11 o'clock, and that way the clerk could be available to us if we need any additional information.
Okay, what we'll do, Mr. Dillard, instead of the conference room, we'll use the city chambers room. That way we can create proper social distancing.
Perfect.
The virus is not gone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
I
Ms.
just
Smith.
wanted to clarify that's why I voted no to defer the pool issue. I mean, I think this is very clear with the numbers that I mentioned that we have, and we know there was no need to defer it. We cannot do this. So I'm hoping it wasn't to defer to get more votes. I'm hoping it's to defer to really take a look at this and make a wise decision, because it's very clear to me already. But if y'all need more time, I hope it's not to gather more votes to make something go through that really would not be fiscally responsible. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the city clerk's report. Madam Clerk,
Okay, I think she had to step
are you
off.
there? Yeah. Oh, that's right. She had to go and receive the ballots
Right.
from the runoff election. So we've got her senior deputy clerk, Miss Denise, on the call with us. Miss Denise?
Yes, I asked approval for the claims docket.
Okay, she's requesting the approval of the claims docket. What's the pleasure?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is that you, Mr. Davis?
Yes, it was.
Okay, moved and second on readiness on a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Mathis?
page 24, there's a payment on here to the literary and cinema celebration under appropriation. It's account number 001-558-948, and it's for their total appropriation of $5,000. And my question is, usually we divide this out into 12 months. I want to know if we've already paid them anything, because I thought we had paid them something before. But if not, I understand the $5,000, but I'm questioning it all being at one time. Am I clear, Mr. Mayor?
Denise, do you know? Yes, ma'am. Denise, do you know if we made any payments to the
I don't
Natchez
think-
Literary and Cinema Celebration?
I think this is the first payment because we looked it up to make sure, but I would make sure once we get in the office to make sure that it was only one payment, but I think it was only one payment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Frazier.
Claim docket for the 23rd of this month. If so, I don't have a claims docket. I didn't get a claims docket for the 23rd of this month. It wasn't in my packet. Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, I heard you, Mr. Frazier.
claims docket or nothing. It's not in my packet.
I mean, I don't know. I know that it was sent out hard copy, and it was also sent out electronically to everybody.
What I got today was I got one from the 19th, and all that I got was the hire and fire report from the 19th of this month. I didn't receive anything.
Mr. Mayor, we didn't get those today.
I
They came out last week.
Claims dockets were sent out last week, Mr. Frazier.
On the 19th,
The
right?
addition,
Correct?
And
the
it was
additional
also sent out electronically.
Okay, so this is for the 19th of the month, right? Because if not, I didn't get anything. All thing I got was, like, say, prepared for the 19th.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
We'll just make sure that you get a hard copy. Yes, Mr. Dillard.
And I apologize if I lost track of things. Is that program going forward? Is that the cinematography?
Natchez Literary Cinema Celebration has already taken place. It took place before the pandemic.
Okay. So this, right. So this is okay. Thank you. You answered my question.
Okay. Further on readiness on the motion. Hearing none, Ms. Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Frazier?
Nay.
What did you say?
Nay, I'm voting nay, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, you're voting no. Okay. Ms. Smith?
Docket.
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Dillard.
Aye.
Okay, it passed by a majority, 4-1, with Mr. Frazier voting no. All right, Ms. Bell, Denise.
Ask for approval for the mini claims docket.
Okay, she has a request for the mini docket.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by Ms. Smith, second by Mr. Davis. Readiness on the motion. Hearing none, Ms. Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Frazier,
Aye.
is that a no?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Dillard.
Aye.
It's by majority, 4-1, with Mr. Frazier voting no. All right, Ms. Bell, you have anything else?
No, that's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm getting echo. And what that means is the phones are not on mute. So it's important that we put our phones on mute. That helps to cut back on distractions, and just unmute it when you need to speak. Mr. Dillard, did you need to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say something about the hire and the termination report. Is that, does Ms. Bell have a copy of that?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, and we could bring some of this up, but I was looking at Mr. Dustin Hinkle, and they've got him in here as a probationary firefighter. Is that correct? He was hired on.
That is incorrect.
Right. I just there's a couple of little.
And if we need to talk details about hire termination reports, we need to determine during executive session, because technically that we should use numbers and instead of calling out names. Am I right, Mr. Latham?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Mayor.
Yes, Ms. Smith, and then
This is-
Mr. Frazier.
Yeah, I think there might be something else in there incorrect. It's not having to do with anyone's name. It's just, I think it had a police officer at 16,000. I'm wondering if it's another position in the police department. I don't think that's our starting salary. So I don't know if maybe this might need to be correct, some things corrected on it. Just double check on that. Or am I wrong? Is there any police
Yeah, the
officer?
personnel officer should be in the executive session with us when we discuss this hire termination report.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Frazier?
also, if possible, I'd like to, in the executive session, I'd like to discuss this election and the election fees and what's going on in the election. If there's any way possible, I need to discuss that.
I don't know if that qualifies, Mr. Frazier.
Yes, sir. It's on. I'm looking at the hire and fire report, and I need to discuss some people's on there. Yes, sir. Yes, you do.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, the way you phrased it, it didn't sound correct. But when you mentioned that there are names that have to be dealt with, that's different. Okay.
I don't want to miss the name. Accept my apologies. That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. At this time, please put your phones on mute to cut back on any background noises and echoing. At this time, city attorney's report.
I've got one item that I'll bring up from the last meeting dealing with the reconciliation of the general ledger and the bank accounts to try to ascertain the imbalance in that fund. And I did have a discussion with Carl Hammond with Silas Simmons, and it's my discussion entailed whether or not they could create the firewall necessary to have some of their staff work through, make a determination to get those issues resolved so we can move forward with this, the continuation and finalization of the audit. And it's my understanding I received this information by text this evening, but it's my understanding they can move forward with resolving that issue. And they quoted an hourly rate, and it was $95 an hour. And if the board wants to move forward with it, I guess my recommendation would be, since the finance committee is going to meet, when is that next Tuesday?
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
Trying to think whether we want to wait that long.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion to go ahead. We have got to do this ASAP to proceed with contracting that for the dollar amount the city attorney mentioned right away with Silas Simmons.
Second.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Is that you, Mr. Dillard, seconded?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Are you the seconder? Okay. Unreadness on the motion.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I don't see.
Yes,
I'm getting
Ms.
feedback.
Mathis.
I'm getting feedback, so I'm gonna try not to give you much of. I don't see how much work they're gonna do between this Tuesday and next Tuesday. And I know we need to get it done, but there are some positions. Well, number one, this board said that it was gonna set aside the money for the accountant position to pay for this, and now we've hired somebody. So we gotta. I think when we get in here and look at this situation in executive session, I think this motion needs to be deferred at least until we come out of executive session, because that was what I thought we had agreed to in a previous meeting. And I don't know if Mr. Dillard remembers that meeting. I thought he did, but I'm trying to figure this out now. And I know we need to get it done, but if we don't wait until, we need to at least go in executive session on it. So
Okay. Is there further unreadness on the motion?
Mr. Mayor, does it qualify?
What did you say?
I move to defer a contractual, because I'm hoping we're going to get a contract done, because we don't have a contract from the last one that we could find when we did the other company. So as a contractual consideration, I'm moving that we defer a decision on this until we go in executive session.
Okay. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion. Who is that? You, Mr. Frazier?
That's correct. Mayor.
Okay, it's been seconded by Mr. Frazier. Unreadness on the motion to defer.
Mr. Mayor, I'm just a little concerned about what. Can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, I'm
yes,
sorry.
ma'am.
I couldn't tell. I'd like the city attorney just to make sure to comment. Is there more that we've talked about the amount and who it is and what they would be doing? Is there more to discuss in the executive session that's legal? I just want to make sure.
Well, I'm not sure what we can discuss in executive session, because we hadn't discussed it to find out what is going to be brought up. So we'd have to make that determination once we go in for determination.
Okay, well, we can determine. That's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Further unreadness? Hearing none. Ms. Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Frazier? Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
And Mr. Dillard?
Aye.
Okay, it's been deferred. All right, city attorney?
I've just got a few matters for executive session.
Okay. Under the mayor's report, I'm requesting approval. I'm requesting approval for Lafayette Marker to to be placed in at the bluff down by the depot, and this comes by way of Historic Natchez Foundation. There's an organization that's actually sponsoring this marker, and what it does is that it will create, it will actually add on to the Lafayette Trail that exists across the country.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Ms. Mathis, second by Mr. Davis. Second by Mr. Davis. Unreadiness on the motion. Ms. Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Davis? I mean, Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
And Mr. Dillard?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous, Madam Deputy Clerk. And that's all I have. Any new business before this board? Okay, Dustin, has the information sent out for the closed determination / executive session to the board?
Yes, sir. It's been sent via text and email.
Okay, so at this time, I will entertain a motion that we proceed into a closed determination.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Mathis, second by Mr. Davis. Any unreadiness? Hearing none, Ms. Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
And Mr. Dillard?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Let's proceed to close determination. We're back in open session. I'm going to ask the Senior Deputy Clerk if you will perform the roll call.
Alderwoman Mathis,
Here.
Alderman Frazier,
Alderman Frazier?
Alderwoman Smith,
Here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Alderman Davis,
Here.
Alderman Dillard.
Here.
All are present, one absent.
Which one is absent, Ms. Bell?
Well, Miss Irvin, Miss Felicia Irvin.
Okay, so we've got all board members and the city attorney is on the call, correct?
Correct.
Okay, we're back in open. So at this time, I will entertain a motion. You want to state it, Bob?
Yes, we'll need a motion to enter into a letter of engagement with the Silas Simmons accounting firm to conduct a review of our general accounts, general ledger, to determine what the imbalance is and get that determination made so they can move forward with the audit. And, you know, the city will agree to pay them a rate of $95 an hour.
Okay. Ms. Smith, is that a motion?
Yes, sir. So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? All right.
Second.
All right, second by Ms. Mathis. Unreadiness. Hearing Ms. Mathis, how you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
All right, Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Davis? Okay, and Mr. Dillard?
Aye.
It's unanimous, Madam Deputy Clerk. All right, is that it? I think that's it. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Davis, Alderman Davis, second by Ms. Smith. Unreadiness? I'm sorry, it's not debatable. Ms. Mathis, how do you vote?
Aye. And good night.
Good night. Ms. Frazier? Mr. Frazier?
Aye.
All right. Ms. Smith?
Aye, and good night.
Good night. Mr. Davis?
Y'all have a good night.
Good night. And Mr. Dillard?
Aye.
All right. It's unanimous. Madam Clerk, we stand adjourned. Good night, everybody. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Good night.